Hi guys, let's go and check out 10 WWE wrestlers Triple H saw zero value in.
WWE Re 10 WWE wrestlers Triple H saw zero value in. Number 10, MVP. MVP has spent the majority of 2024 calling out Triple H for the way he handled his booking, as well as the booking of other names such as Bobby Lashley and Omos. It became apparent earlier on during the Triple H era that WWE really didn't see much value in MVP as a manager, and MVP became collateral damage when Triple H lost interest in both Lashley and Omos. MVP still had so much to offer WWE, as his work as a manager was well received by fans, and if the game had no interest in pairing MVP with Lashley or Omos, then he could have easily paired him with someone else on the active roster. MVP now finds himself in AEW, where he's reformed the Hurt Business, and whilst this is definitely a storyline that Triple H should have explored, it's great to see MVP back on TV on a weekly basis. Number 9, Baron Corbin. Now it came as a huge surprise when Baron Corbin was released from his WWE contract. Corbin was said to be incredibly well liked backstage, and he had done nothing but to improve over the past few years. Before Corbin was recalled up to the WWE main roster, he proceeded to go on the run of a lifetime in NXT. This NXT run brought out the version of Corbin that fans had never seen before, and Corbin delivered arguably the finest work of his entire WWE career. But when he was called back up to SmackDown, it was an expectation that WWE, well, specifically Triple H, had concrete plans for him in place, but this was never the case. Corbin would spend his final run on the main roster in a dead-end tag team with Apollo Crews, and he would rarely get TV time. Ultimately, it made zero sense for Corbin to be moved back into the main roster with no plans in place. This was made evident by the fact that they released him just a few months later. Number 8, Austin Theory. Austin Theory was virtually handpicked by Vince.
Like, Austin Theory looks so good. Like, he could go for a solo story, in my opinion, at this point, and have an actual story instead. Like, even like going with betraying his tag team partner, or realizing that his tag team partner is using him and stuff, so he just leaves him. Like, something, you have to do something, because this guy is just, you're wasting him.
McMahon to be one of the next top stars in WWE. Whilst Theory was talented, he was missing that X factor, and when Triple H took over WWE Creative, he basically decided that Theory wasn't going to factor into any long-term main event plans. It became obvious that Triple H wasn't president of the Theory fan club when he booked Theory to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He would cash in on then US champion Seth Rollins and somehow lose his cash in. A wrestler cashing in on any other title than the world title is a very questionable move, and for that wrestler to lose that cash in is a defined credibility killer. Since the failed cash in attempt, Theory has found himself in a decent tag team with Grayson Waller, and the WWF teased Theory turning babyface approximately 1,000 times over the past 12 months. But it looks like Triple H has abandoned these plans for Theory, and as things stand, he's just lingering around SmackDown with nothing substantial to do, even going so far as to losing to Luke Gallows in a dark match. Number 7, Giovani Vinci. WWE decided to move Giovani Vinci away from the Imperium faction was a controversial move, as it was concerned that there was a lack of space for a singles run for him. These concerns had a ton of merit when Vinci would fail to make any appearances on TV for months on end, and when it was revealed that Vinci wasn't going to be repackaged, there was apprehension regarding how fans would react to the new gimmick. WWE's idea was to have him lose his return match to Apollo Crews in just seconds. In fact, this was the shortest match in WWE in 2024. How on earth was this supposed to get him over is anyone's guess, and since his return to TV, he hasn't won a single match on WWE programming, and this seems unlikely to change anytime soon. Vinci has a lot of talent to show, and he just needs to be given the platform to be able to express it. A run in NXT would do him wonders, as currently he's turned into the WWE main roster's resident jobber. Number 6, Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal had one of the strangest WWE careers ever. Mahal went from jobber to WWE champion in just a matter of a few weeks. Then he spent the rest of his WWE career being an established name that put other talent over. After yet another run in NXT, Mahal would then return to the main roster in early 2024, and after some social media discourse, WWE decided to have Mahal wrestle Seth Rollins on Raw for the world title. This push would be for one night only, as the moment it was over, Mahal was back to wrestling on WWE main event. Mahal would then be released from WWE in April of 2024, which did lead to some anger from fans, as Mahal was a former WWE champion that they could have easily kept around to make other wrestlers look good. Number 5, Omos. Now, Almost has become a fan favorite in 2024, and it's not exactly down to how WWE have booked him on TV, as he's virtually been absent from WWE programming for over a year. Almost has endured himself to fans thanks to his interviews as well as his YouTube channel, as it's become apparent that Almost is one of the nicest, most genuine talents in the locker room, and fans have urged Triple H to book this version of Almost on TV. But Triple H just didn't seem to have any desire to book Almost in any capacity, and this makes little sense. Almost had standout matches against Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, but these weren't good enough for Almost to receive a long-term place on the show. Even The Undertaker himself has spoken out in favor of Almost, and the dead man even agreed to have Almost on his podcast to give the Nigerian giant a platform to speak his mind. As expected, Almost came incredibly well during the podcast appearance, and Almost's stock continued to rise in the eyes of fans. Hopefully, as WWE pushes into 2025, some key changes are made when it comes to Almost, and Almost soon finds himself back on WWE programming. Number 4. Daac. When Daac was called up to Raw in 2024's draft, there was a notable buzz, as Daac had an outstanding run in NXT, and there was an expectation that Triple H would give him a featured role on the Red brand. Unfortunately, that never occurred, as outside some matches on WWE Speed and Main Event, Daac never made his return to the main roster, and instead they decided against renewing his contract. He was subsequently released without giving a chance to succeed on the main roster. This was an interesting call from WWE, as it would have been at least appreciated if Daac was given a chance, and it was an unusual move to call a wrestler up to Raw and then just release them. It's possible that the contractual situation went above Triple H's head, yet this hasn't been confirmed, and the only names that can reveal the details regarding Daac's release are key names in WWE management or Daac himself. Number 3. Elias. Now, Elias deserves a lot of credit for getting over to the level he did in WWE. When he first arrived on the main roster, his drifter gimmick managed to instantly connect with the fans, and when he was pinning John Cena on Raw, it was seen as justified, as Elias was receiving main event level reactions. Now, the problem with Elias was that his character could only go so far, and even though Elias managed to excel yet again with the Ezekiel gimmick, once the gimmick was over, it felt like a step back to see Elias back as the drifter. Elias was definitely a casualty of Triple H taking over WWE Creative, as Elias never truly factored into the game's creative vision, and the Drifter was eventually released from WWE as part of the budget cuts following the TKO buyout. Number 2. Dolph Ziggler. Whilst it was upsetting to hear the news that Dolph...
I am so upset about Dolph Ziggler. He was so good. I cannot believe that they let him go. I don't understand. Why?
Ziggler was released in 2023. It wasn't exactly shocking. Ziggler had been going through the motions for years in WWE, and a change in management didn't exactly turn his fortunes around. Ziggler was still one of the top workers in WWE at the time of his release, yet Triple H just wasn't interested in giving him a substantial program, and Ziggler became a name that was quickly forgotten about by the new regime. Ziggler didn't leave on bad terms, so the door is always open for him to return one day. Some fans have been pushing for the idea for Ziggler to return as a trainer or producer when he retires, which would be a smart move for both sides to make, as Ziggler is a true veteran of the squared circle and was said to be incredibly easy to work with. And number 1, Bobby Lashley. Since his WWE exit, former WWE champion Bobby Lashley has been open and honest regarding his difficulties working with the new regime. Lashley was said to be a Vince McMahon guy, and after all, McMahon was the guy that made Lashley a multi-time world champion in WWE. Under the leadership of Triple H, Lashley was pretty much a non-factor, as he would rarely be featured on the show, and if he was involved in a storyline...
The first time, I didn't even know about Bobby Lashley, and then I saw him in. I saw his, like, how big he is and how strong he is, and I'm like, oh, that's a main eventer. Like, that guy is a big deal. And then poof, nope, nothing.
It's usually going to be a disappointment. This was seen with the pairing alongside the Street Profits, as the game tried to make the trio a villainous group despite the fans endlessly cheering for them every single week. It was evident that Triple H was struggling with the presentation of the Almighty, and as time went on, it was almost as if Triple H completely gave up. Lashley was a huge name to have under contract, and there were so many mega dream matches left to deliver, but for whatever reason, Triple H just wasn't remotely interested. But there you have it, folks, 10 WWE wrestlers that Triple H saw zero value in. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
I feel like they just needed some good stories for some of these characters to push them. And I do understand if you like give someone a chance and you see they're not good on the mic or something like that, then yeah, But if the person is a whole package, then probably is not the wrestler. Probably is you and backstage what you have plans for them. Like Lashley, I am sure it was not on him. It was just a creative. They were not creative enough. And that's how you can just lose your favorite wrestlers from the show because nobody cared to give them a proper story. And I bet if they just listen to these wrestlers and they get their point of view, what they would like to do and what they see their character or persona as a wrestler goes through, probably if they listened more and they did work around what a wrestler wants, they would do better. But unfortunately, they have so much and so much going on. They keep going in circles. They keep promoting the same people that maybe is easier for them to work with. They don't have to like go the extra mile of pushing them because they can already push themselves at this point. And yeah, they just go with the easy way out, which is so sad. But yeah, it is what it is.